grocery. Heaps of sparkling pink notebooks and toppled stacks of diaper boxes were scattered all around him in a big mess on the floor. At first he thought he was covered in snow. Then he saw the slashed boxes. Torn white fluff from shredded little dumpling diapers covered everything around him like a Christmas display. But who would have shredded the diapers all over like that? He ran his hand through his dark hair, which was straight in front and wildly curly in the back, shaking diaper fuzz from his head. Then Eric noticed grey dust sprinkling down from a black, charred hole in the side of a nearby case of spaghetti boxes. It looked like someone had blasted it with a flamethrower. Who could have come in here and done this? Someone really ransacked this place. Eric gulped as a realization dawned on him. If he truly was here, in the grocery store, and he had not been dreaming, then maybe... Could he have done all this? This was not good. A little girl stood staring at him, her lip trembling. She tugged on her mother's skirt and pointed at Eric. The mother glanced at him with disgust, as if he was a delinquent who made a mess of store displays for fun. Eric wished that were true, because what really happened was far worse than a bout of bad behavior. What had just happened, in fact, should never have occurred here, in New Jersey, in plain sight of normal people. Eric hid his eyes with a diaper fluff-covered hand. He had to face the facts. He had begun to turn into a dragon. His adopted siblings had seen it too. All 5 of them had been swarming around the grocery store, dumping unhealthy sugared products into their adoptive mother June's cart faster than she could take them out. Danny and Sammy, 13-year-old twins with sandy brown hair, and Nell, 11, had watched Eric grab hold of a shelf when his head began to spin. 9-year-old red-headed Trevor had popped around the corner just as Eric's vision faded out, and Zoe, just 5, with wild blonde curls and hazel eyes, was staring at him when he woke up on the ruined store display. But it was what happened in between his vision fading and waking up among diapers that made Eric's heart race. He'd had a cloudy thought. Cloudy thoughts were what Eric called the strange commands that took him over at times, forcing him to do whatever they said. His whole life he'd had to deal with being overcome when he least expected it, with orders appearing in his head. Cloudy thoughts made him do things like run to the bottom of a staircase and hold his arms out. He would feel like an idiot crouching there, but then a little girl would tumble down the stairs into his arms. He would have saved her without even knowing she was coming. Cloudy thoughts had also saved his own life many times, giving him extra strength and telling him what he needed to know to survive. But things changed. Eric inherited first one, and then the other eye, of his dragon friend Aoquest, who died saving Eric's life in a battle. The dragon eyes were now attached to the back of his own eyes, and carried special powers that he looked forward to discovering. The first one made his cloudy thoughts more intense, with visions like premonitions. But this was his first cloudy thought since he had gotten 2 dragon eyes, and it was different, more powerful than any he'd had before. Eric took a breath. What had just happened to him in the grocery store? Right when he picked up a carton of his favorite cookies, chocolate spring balls with cherry centers, everything had turned green. His eyes had swiveled around so that his dragon eyes were facing forward. His mind seemed to race through time so fast he couldn't make out what was happening. He remembered grabbing the metal shelf for support. Then the vision in his head slowed down and showed him something terrible. His best friend, Bethany Cleary, was in danger. Thick white ropes and webs hung in the air. Bethany was panting, long dark curls plastered against her sweaty face. She was backed against a wall, trapped. She had been running away from 3 boys, one with white fuzzy hair covering his head and neck, another with an odd grey cap that stuck high over his head, and the third with black hair and an evil glint in his steely blue eyes. Now she was cornered. Eric gasped. It was Dolic, Damon, and Bela Stain. They were the triplets working with evil Prince Bascania to overthrow the kingdoms of the Keepers, the unseen magical realms connected to ours. Eric had been amazed when he found the strange place, and more shocked to learn he had been born there, in Elypium.